Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome again to another edition of In the Moment. I'm your host, Michael. And today I have an incredible, I say that about everyone, but only because I have incredible people and guests. Christina Reese. She's a badass. Let's just say she's a badass. She's someone who I met a few years ago when I was doing kickboxing. She was my coach, but she has an eclectic life, diverse life. She's been a firefighter. She was a fitness coach. She does Reiki. She does life coaching. She has her own business. And she's just someone who I feel is a beacon and someone who just has this incredible essence. So, Christina, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. My heart is so full from that introduction. Thank you.
So hopefully I got all that right.
Yeah.
And I want to hear about you. Again, I met you a few years ago, probably it might have been 6 years ago, because I've been in New Mexico for 5 and you were one of the last places I was at. I used to go to I Love Kickboxing. You were one of my coaches. You were fantastic. You were just, the whole place was a safe place. Let me just say that. It was a safe place to go. And I think it was fantastic. And you were such a wonderful coach. Always a smile. Always awesome. You'd beat me up every day in class, but it was worth it and it was fantastic. And I just
with love.
Yeah, with love. But I want to hear about your journey because there's been so much going on. And like I mentioned, to go from firefighter and coach and to now these things. Tell us about you and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah. Okay. So I will honestly say, Michael, I don't think I've ever met anyone else like me. And I hope that inspires other people, because I don't think many of us are actually set up as humans to do one thing for our entire lives. That's so difficult to stuff yourself into a box and say that this is what I'm doing forever, right? We evolve, we grow, we change, we morph. And I think a strength of mine has been being able to listen to that voice and notice when it's time to open a new door or try something new. And of course that comes with fear and uncertainty and everything, right? But it's so much more fun. After, I guess a big starting point was firefighting. So that was huge for me. I've always lived a life of service, wanted to help other people. One of the best jobs in the world. If you are a firefighter and you stay with that for the rest of your life, that's amazing. So fun, different every day. It's a family, you know. But I had an intuitive pull on a Tuesday morning that it was no longer right for me. And so I resigned on Thursday.
Wow.
But the Wednesday, I signed up to be a personal trainer. So it was like, this is right now. What's my next step? And so, you know, people looked at me like I was crazy. Like, you're leaving the San Diego City Fire Department. Do you know how hard that is to get into? And I just wasn't right for me anymore. And so that's when I became a personal trainer, and then a yoga instructor. And that's brought me to Northern California, where I started managing the kickboxing gym where I met you. And that was incredible too. The community and the fun we had, and it made fitness exciting and fun, and relationships and easier to do and all that. And then COVID hit. And so again, we stayed open, right? It was just online. It was virtual, which was great. Right. But I've always had that pull that one day I wanted to own my own thing. And I didn't know what it was. When I was younger, it was a coffee shop. And then it was a yoga studio or a healing center or something, right? And I don't even know where. Throughout those years, I also became a Reiki master. And I kind of realized that I was studying the whole self, right? I got a degree in nutrition, personal training, yoga. So that was like fitness and that kind of area. And then spiritual healing and energy work. And then what else? Mental health. So I went into life coaching, and I kind of realized that could be an umbrella for most of those things, right? You could come to me with, say, hey, I want to lose 100 pounds, but it probably has nothing to do with what, that you need to exercise more. It's the emotional healing we want to start with, right? We want to do all, so it all goes together. We're not just, we're all so complex, right? And it all goes together.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cool being able to have all of these tools to pull from and really help clients in that way.
Right.
And so that's kind of where I got to where I am. And now I just keep branching out, right? So then I created a line of guided journals,
Yeah.
and then I have new exciting steps coming up too. But I think that answered your question. That's kind of how I got here. I just follow that poll.
Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit, and that's fantastic because for I interviewed somebody recently, Jenny, who was in our class, who
Oh
also was a Reiki master. Why don't you explain, like, what led you to Reiki? And Reiki, as you know, is the form of art of moving energy. I want to say it's an Eastern philosophy type
yeah.
technique, and of course, in the past few years, well, many years now, there's been more of this esoteric world coming out, and you hear the word Reiki or this or touching and healing. So, what led you to that? And then, what did you benefit? And is that something that you're still practicing?
Yeah, so it's so interesting. I swear there's a week of my life I just blacked out because I don't remember what made me sign up for it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so curious. I could probably look back in journals and maybe there's something, that I can discover. But I think it was something that felt right. Maybe I saw it somewhere or knew someone was doing it or something. But I found teachers that I felt called to. It was a married couple. They're wonderful. And signed up to be a Reiki practitioner. But then I forgot all about it.
Right.
I didn't even use it until again it came back full circle, and I thought, okay, I want to dive back in. So I did the advanced and then the master training, and that's when it affected my life. I started doing it every day for myself. It helps me heal through the past. Those moments where you remember something and you're like, ooh, I don't want to think
Right.
about that. Right? It's like, okay, Reiki, because it travels across time and space, and so it was a big part of my personal healing
Mm-hmm.
journey. And then it did something that completely surprised me, but it helped me tap into my own gifts. So when I do a Reiki, and so yes, I still do Reiki, I still teach Reiki, I certify others, I do, clients and everything. But my personal gift, if you have a Reiki session with me, it's probably not like a Reiki session that you go into a salon and, you lay on a bed and have a session. That's wonderful. That does what it needs to do. But Reiki allowed me to tap into the unconscious parts of the person I was working with. So I use Reiki now as a tool. If someone comes to me and says, help me, I can't move on from this, or I just want to do this and I'm afraid, or whatever, we
Right.
can do a Reiki session and I'll feel something like I've come out of sessions and said, you feel neglected by your daughter. And they're like, oh my God, yes. Or what happened 20 years ago? And they'll burst into tears, so that's that unconscious layer.
Yeah.
And so it's helped me tap into my gifts and gotten closer to my spirit guides and being able to listen to my spirit guides. And I'm getting confirmation chills right now because they're always chilling with me. But I've been meeting more of my guides as I go. It's so cool. And so Reiki for me was more than just Reiki. It was more than just a form of relaxation. It's more than just clearing a chakra.
Right.
To me, it's a tool to help someone on a deeper level and myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, connecting to that more of the divine, which is really
Right.
cool. And so I use it every day of my life.
I love, I think that's fantastic. Again, I think what we talked about, or like you mentioned, even with the essence of COVID, during that time, because when I was taking the kickboxing class, I moved to New Mexico. COVID had just hit, and everything was a little bit different. And I found myself taking these angel card readings, these
Mm-hmm.
classes, and doing that. And for a moment, I was really tapped in, and I say this and I tell everyone the truth of what I know is my truth is we would have these sessions and we would sit there. And one of the things that we had to do was we would ask permission to tap into someone, people I never met before. And I would subliminally describe in detail their house. This was a challenge, a test that we had. And there was no less than 3 people, 100%. I was okay. On the left hand, there's this brush, there's this photograph, this old man, and they're like, you got it 100%. And that's where I felt there was this tapped in energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit, in the past couple of years, I've kind of weaned off only because I get busy. But I find this calling, maybe like you, some things are happening in my life, adulting, where it's kind of bringing back in. And it's because I was afraid to tap in. And that was the thing. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm in a world where this is cool. I'm not sure if I'm ready for it, so I'm going to kind of shut it off.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel it's beautiful, like what you said. You get these chills or these calls and these things, and I'm getting these little taps on the shoulder too. And I'm like, okay, it's time to reinvest, because I believe this is kind of where some of us are, and we're here for a reason to help people with this. I've not done Reiki. People have asked me to take their courses, and I said, well, I don't know if that's for me. I like the angel cards and doing that. So I love that you had found your calling, and then you're still practicing it, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
able to help others, but even for yourself. Because it's sometimes we're able to do that, but we need to like stop. Oh, do the angel cards for ourselves.
Right.
Our own
I
reading.
can't read myself, Michael. I do tarot and I cannot read myself.
Yeah, I try. It's nice to get every now and then I get a card, and the confirmation. It's so funny because the other day, my girlfriend, she was like, she goes, you haven't done it for us in a while. I'm like, all right. So I pulled it for myself, and I shuffled the deck in front of her, whatever, and I pulled it. She got the exact same card, and it's so fun. And I love it when that happens, because then it's like, okay, that's really the message. Because when you're shuffling the deck and we each get it, or I go to another deck and it comes up again, I'm like, okay, what are you telling me?
Yeah. Yeah. The synchronicities, the
Yeah.
parallels, it's going to keep coming at you until you
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is what again, you have such a light. Your smile, just everything about you,
Thank you.
and you're just such this diverse energy. So now you are doing, because you talked about journaling, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this is something that you've started. You have a series of journals that you put out, which
Mm-hmm.
I've actually bought as a gift. So can you talk to us about that and where you are, and how is that incorporated into your life?
Yeah. So a big part of, okay, first of all, journaling
Mm-hmm.
has been in my life since I can remember. Writing gives your emotions a place to go, getting it out of you. Right. So as a child, I mean, you like think there's a certain way to journal. It's like today I went to school and it's not very, but then when I was 21, I started journaling in letter format and realized that was it. It made it easy. I didn't have to think about what to write about, or I didn't have to try to, whatever. It was just, oh, I'm talking to someone. I'm pissed. I'm broken. You hurt me. Whatever it was. And I could just word vomit.
Yeah.
And I felt lighter. And it was so that I have so many journals. They're just letters and letters and letters to people that will never read them. It's mine. It's for me. It's a safe space. But journaling had such a profound effect on me that I wanted to share that with other people. Also, I grew up without any money. So I wanted an affordable option for those that wished they could work with a coach, because I have a coach and I will have a coach until the day I die. It is the leaps and bounds having someone guide you and work through fears and things.
Right.
But again, thousands of dollars versus a $25 journal. And so Inhale is that. It's like a life coach in your pocket. It's just getting you to learn about you, because awareness is the first step to changing anything. Right. We can't change something if we don't know it happens. If you're not aware that you shut down when you're afraid, then how are you going to shift that? Right? So it's just bringing awareness to yourself about the negative voice in your head, things like that. And then, so each journal does something different. Exhale, think breathing out. It's releasing, letting go. That's journaling in letters. So that's what exhale is. Mm-hmm. And then mindful is morning habits, like creating just a very simple for people that don't even know where to start. Again, these are just tools if you're like, I don't know what to do. And then there's a self-love planner, which is like it's still going to journal prompt every day about learning how to actually love yourself. I had to learn how to. It's a skill set. There's a lot to do, and so that's what the journals are. Yeah. Sorry, what'd you say?
No, I'm saying that's a lot. No, to love yourself, that is a lot. Mm-hmm. I do believe journaling. It's funny. Right behind me, I have one of those plastic bins of all my journals. And, it's in my will to my kids. My daughter knows. I say, yeah, Dad, I know. Zach gets all the Prince music. I get all your journals. Big fun. But, I'm like, well, because I'm telling the stories, but journaling is important. And I used to be someone who would write in it every day. And there's a lot of times I back off. And this is something where I kind of ebb and flow, and I have to feel it. And I have like maybe 5 more journals here that I haven't touched yet. Because, again, I see one that's like candy. Oh, I want that. I get the shiny, pretty journal. It's just a matter of just getting it done. And I love the idea of what you just said about writing letters, because again, for me, sometimes it's like, okay, here's today, I got up, and there should And some people, there's been that system of just train of thought, just 3 minutes, just write whatever blog comes out. But I love this idea about writing a letter to whomever, because we are releasing, and we hold on to that, because there are so many times, gosh, I would have said that to so-and-so. I really wish I said this. And I love what you just said, because I think that's something too, even for myself, I need to take that into consideration of just take a moment, write some letters, because we go through all these facets of life. And I think for me, and I talked about this in therapy, I actually would hold back in journaling because I was afraid of putting certain thoughts or ideas out there. What if someone reads this one day and they're going to judge me? Or God's watching me write this. But I'm like, well, he already knows what I did. So why should I be not afraid to write it? But there's this mind game that we play with ourselves, and we hold back and we censor instead of just saying, you know what? It's all out there.
Yeah. And I do actually have a lot of people ask that question. Or like, what if I'm afraid if someone reads it? And I say, burn it, get rid of it, rip it up, flush it. Probably don't flush it, but destroy it in some way safely. Please don't burn down your house. But that's actually very releasing in itself, is just the act of burning, a letter of hatred or something, right? It's just like, you have no power over me anymore, kind of a thing. But you're right, like ebbs and flows. I don't journal every day, but probably because I'm in a really grounded place, right? 2 weeks ago, my father, we were so close, but he said something that triggered me. It had nothing to do with me. He wasn't angry or anything. It just, triggered me, something that I had. So I just wrote a letter. I wrote a letter to him. Wow. The end. And I let it go. I don't even remember what it was about because I got it out, right? That's the difference. Just get it out. Otherwise, you hold on to it and you don't know why or.
We do. It is one of those things where, listen, we all are going through our process. I'm 54 and I'm dealing right now of just, putting my mom in assisted living. Something just happened a couple of weeks ago with my aunt. I'm dealing with that. So I'm having a lot of stuff, and I'm the only child, and I have a lot, and I'm holding on to a lot of anger, resentment, guilt, all these things because of this. How do I handle it? How do I learn this? I'm afraid to ask for help. And I have started journaling the past couple of days, just getting some thoughts out. It's that process. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. And I appreciate what you've got in your website. And I'm going to put up all the links because they're nice and they're beautiful. And I love how you talk about like one is inhale, one is exhale. And there's these different facets. And I just think that's important. And I really commend you for doing that. Again, starting another, I don't want to say it's another business, but it's another avenue of what you have. And so now I believe too, on top of that, are you also doing some sort of coaching? There's another thing that's on your new website, because you have all these different things.
I know. It's probably confusing for everybody.
Because wait a minute. Last time it was this. Now what is it? Yeah,
I know. My poor followers. So, I have an online program. I do one-on-one life coaching. So there's different avenues, right?
Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, so the life coaching. Christina, I'm going to come to you as a life coach. What is it that you're guiding? Because I know certain people will help. Oh, only fitness, only with trauma, only with whatever. What is it that you feel you're best at, and who are you trying to attract?
Michael, that is a fantastic question that I've asked myself for years. Honestly, it's like the amount of messages, it actually used to surprise me, and now it doesn't anymore. The messages that I get that say, I don't know how I found you, but I'm glad I did. Those are my clients. The people, it just was aligned.
Okay.
And they all are working through something different. The root of all of them is the relationship they have with themselves. So negative self-talk, hate themselves, don't like what they look like, are afraid of being seen. They don't want to move forward because they're terrified. But it always comes down to the relationship with themselves. Right. And so that's usually what we work on, is because, so externally, which is what makes it confusing, it could look different. This person wants to lose 100 pounds. This person wants to leave their job and start their own business. This person wants to, but it's really just healing through their past, the beliefs they've developed about themselves. When you're born, you love yourself. When you're 2 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, you're like, I'm the best ever,
Yeah.
And then you learn that you're not that great, which is bull.
Right.
That's not true. So it's about tearing down those layers that have been built and remembering that you are completely whole and perfect and amazing and can do anything. And learning, again, like real self-love. It's so interesting, though, that self-love feels like a popular phrase.
Right.
And it's like, that's not it. When I mean it when I say, when you learn how to fall madly in love with yourself, your entire life changes. Everything. Because you can get through anything if the voice in your head is like, you got it.
Yeah.
So what? You failed. That's awesome. Good. Keep going.
Yeah.
Right? Versus like beating you down and like shunning you. Like, oh my God. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, who do I attract are people that are ready to take action and ready to change something and ready to feel good about themselves and their lives and be proud of what they are and who they are and what they're creating. And it all comes down to the relationship they have with themselves, which they might not know, but that's what we end up working on.
I think that's the most important tool. It is for ourselves. And it is, it's that old analogy. You got to put the gas, or not the gas mask, but the oxygen mask on your face first, because right now I've been of service, same thing, where I've been giving. And recently it's been very difficult for me to ask for help. Because it's like, oh no, I got this because I'm the only one that can trust myself to do it, whatever. But then there are those moments where, like, recently I kind of reached out, or maybe it was an unwillingly thing on Facebook. I just talked about what's going on with this healthcare, trying to figure out, assisted living for I'm like, I don't know how to do this. And people reached out to me because I didn't know how to ask for help. And that was a big thing for me because I'm so used to always being on my own, taking care of myself since I was a little kid, of always being the parent. And it was nice to kind of sometimes just curl up and be. And that's what I'm discovering, even with myself. It's okay to curl up on the couch and cry and say, you know what, it's okay. That's that self-love that we need. Or, there's fear, like, oh, we can't do that. We got to be strong or whatever.
Right.
And it's nice to have someone like yourself. It does help to have a coach, a friend, someone who cares, someone. And that's why I think a coach is great, because maybe it's not a friend or someone, it's someone completely different who's going to help you see and expand certain things you didn't realize. Like, oh, okay.
It's almost like a non-biased person, right? Sure. That helps you see everything. Yeah.
Sure. It's super funny, this was, I was in therapy years ago, and I didn't understand at the time. I used to have panic attacks on planes. And I didn't understand why. And we got down to the root of it. It was because it's the only time I'm not in control. Once the door closes, I no longer have control. Michael can't escape. And once we pinpointed that, I'm like, oh, that little thing. Oh, now that makes sense. But it took someone to help me figure that out.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, even just understanding it frees you.
Right. Exactly.
Like being able to see it.
Right.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Now I can do some things to help myself calm down or whatever it is. Yeah.
So you have the life coaching, you have the journals, and what else are you doing?
Oh, God. What am I not doing, Michael?
I know, because I've been trying to get you on the show for months. So thank you for being here.
I know. Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. It worked out when it was supposed to. I mean, I have personal training clients. I have nutrition clients. I have Reiki clients. I have yoga clients. I have life coaching clients. I think that's it. Oh, and I have an acting client who's a teenager who wants to be a better actress. And it's amazing because I went to film school and I was an actor for so long. But it's really just working on confidence and doing that life coaching work. So those are all of the different things I do, which I wouldn't change. That's why I wanted to be a firefighter, because it's different every day.
Yeah.
Right. And I can help people in a different way. And it's not like I'm just sitting at a desk doing the same thing every day. And then, of course, I have the line of journals and online course. And, so if someone reaches out and says, I'd like, this is where I want to get, they have options. Okay, do you want to do coaching, or do you want to just start with this journal, or do you want to, maybe this course will fit for you,
Are you doing everything remotely, or are you doing one-on-one with people live?
99% of it is remote. When I travel down to Southern California, I often have some clients down there. We'll do in-person Reiki sessions.
Okay.
That's like my dream, though, is to travel and just do it live or in person wherever I go. Because I love the connection. I love the real connection, right? But I also appreciate the time saved without driving, right? So there's that. Let's be realistic. But yeah, it's mostly remote. So, I mean, I have so many clients in Mississippi, as random as that is.
Wow.
Yeah, so strange. But across the world, across the country, yeah. So,
How are you marketing yourself? How are you getting out? How do people in Mississippi know how to find you?
so none of them know each other, which is interesting. One I met years ago, and she became a long-term client.
Mhm.
And then a lot of it's just referrals, word of mouth.
Okay.
You know, my boyfriend's friend was a client, and then he referred his friend in Mississippi
Okay.
who was a client, you know, and then he referred someone in Mississippi, you know, and so it's just, so a lot of it's word of mouth. Yeah.
Okay.
And then people find me on Instagram, people find me on Yelp.
All right. What's
Kind
good?
of all over.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to put all your links, all your information in here. So in regards to the journal, okay, you had this idea to come up with the journals, and then did you? I guess my question is like, how did you determine or figure out how? Because you, I don't want to say it's self-publishing, but I guess it is self-publishing,
Yeah.
and
It's
you
helpful.
created this in your designs, and you just said, okay, hey, I want to do this, and because you have cards, you have other things too, right?
There, no, mostly journals. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I saw something. Okay, that's good. What's the next step for you? What is the next step for Christina? What are we going to be looking forward to?
I'm so glad you asked because I realized it this week. Michael, I want to be a writer, like a poet.
Okay.
And so I am starting, and if you go to my Instagram, you'll see some of the things that I started to write.
Okay.
And they're really just because words have changed and affected my life so much. I want to do the same for others. Like, I have been a reader since I could read. I've been a writer since I could write. And so just seeing, I want to use my words to help people feel seen, to help people feel safe, to know they're not alone. And so a lot of the ones that are posted on my coaching Instagram are like about courage and
Okay.
fear. And like, we all feel these things, it's just, yeah. And so I want to write some books, like poetry.
Going to, and I'm going to be one of the first ones to get it.
Yeah.
You can do it. I mean, you can. I love today's day and age where you can do anything. There are literally no more excuses. The fact that Danny Boyle's new movie is coming out. They shot on the iPhone 15. The fact that me self-published my own book. I've got a podcast. Like, anybody can do anything. You just have to do it and say, you know what? I'm not afraid. There's enough out there for everybody. There's enough audience. There's enough people. There's enough. And this is why I love this idea in this day and age where we are. Right, we can really do it. There's no more fear. There's no more, oh, you're a different race. You can't do a different gender. Like, no, anybody can do anything. Don't stop you.
Yeah. And also, just to add to what you just said, you also can be absolutely terrified. But that's what courage is.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Doing it even though you're afraid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I've done all these things and not been afraid. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. I get scared every day.
Terrified. Yeah.
I get scared every day.
Yeah. And that's okay. And that's what I want people to realize is like, it's okay to feel everything that you're feeling and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Love yourself enough to do it anyway.
So, okay. So what's your recent obstacle that was in front of you that you overcame? Or because we all have stuff that we deal with. I mean, what's something recently that you felt like, okay, and then you had a success from it?
Let's see. I hope this answers the question. So I will sometimes get hit these moments of depression out of nowhere. Just absolutely nowhere. And I'm like, am I hormonal? What is going on? And I don't want to do anything. And I don't want to talk to anyone. And I don't want to work on my business. And I don't want to connect, and because the way you see me is how I am 99% of the time.
Yes.
But then I hit these walls. It's probably happened 1, 2, 3, 4 times where it was there. And I hit one Monday this week. And since I can recognize it now because I've gone through it,
right.
I allow it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it'll pass.
Right.
And so what was coming up for me, this makes me smile because it's everything we just talked about. This happens when my intuition or my team or whoever is telling me it's time for the next thing. And so I get this like dark feeling. I don't want to do anything, but it's like I'm cocooning into a caterpillar, as a caterpillar so that I can emerge a butterfly. And when I came out of it, that's when I realized, oh, it's time to write a book. I want to be a poet.
Mm-hmm.
And clarity comes in stillness. So instead of resisting that and pretending everything's fine or like not telling anyone, no, just I'm feeling horrible today and that's okay. I'm just going to take care of myself. I made a bubble bath. I turned off my phone. You have to do what you got to do. And came out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, they get shorter every time because I'm allowing it. Mm-hmm. Instead of there was journaling, there was crying, there was all the things. Mm-hmm. But then I was able to emerge and know my next steps. And how am I going to become a writer? I don't know. But I'm going to take one step and then the next step and then the next step. And hopefully inspire someone along the way.
Well, you already are. I mean, you are inspiration. And, and I'm not just saying that because you're on here. I really mean that because you are someone that I'm honest, I know a lot of people and that's great. And that's coming up. But there's only really certain people in my life that actually make a difference. And you are someone who has made a difference. And that's 100% true. Because when I did join the kickboxing class, I was coming out of my second marriage and a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. A lot of toxicity, et cetera, whatever. And I just worked through it. But you guys and everyone there, all the teachers, all the instructors are fantastic. But again, I'm going to just single you out because you and I still have, a friendship from it. Not to say I'm not friends with them, but but I see your light and I do. And Christina has these wonderful posts. If you follow her on Instagram or whatever, and it's just always this beacon of just amazing positivity and it's cool. And, we need people like you in this world for all of us. Because, we're all going through our stuff and, and we never know how we're going to help someone in a good way or negative. We don't know. We just have to be ourselves. We have to be honest and true to ourselves and see what organically is going to happen. So I want you to just continue being that way because you do make a difference. And sometimes we might not see it. I tell people I've gotten random messages from people completely different. Like, oh my gosh, something you said a month ago, helped me out. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know what I said a month ago, but okay. So we just have to be ourselves.
You never know who you're inspiring. Yeah. You never know who you're inspiring. And like, even just think of your own life, the people that have inspired you. It's not like you think, let me go call them and tell them that, right? So there are probably so many people around us that we're affecting. We don't even realize it. And that's what I tell people who like want to coach or want to do, something big and scary. Like you're doing it for the one person that it's going to affect. Right. You're not doing it for all the haters. Who cares about them? You're doing it for that one person. Yeah. And that's it.
Absolutely.
And they're like, oh yeah, it's like, that's why you're doing it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I tell everyone, and I buy this book for everyone. My favorite book is Arnold's book, Be Useful, Seven Tools for Life. I'm listening to it again for the fourth time. Do you have it?
No, I need to go get it.
I'll give it to you as a gift. I'll give it to you as a gift.
You're amazing.
I give it to everybody. I listen to it. And because I always have to remind myself certain things. And I just started in the first opening. He's like, go for a walk. Walking makes a difference. And that is something that I do every day with my dog. And that is my time to think. And all my ideas come from just walking. And that's when I'm like, oh my gosh. And I get so inspired. It's like today I was sitting in this thing and the same thing like you, I feel I'm being pushed to kind of do something a little bit different. And I've been hesitant, but and all of a sudden something kind of came to me in this meeting early and I'm writing it down on this note thing. And I'm like, okay, universe, I have to just kind of trust. I'm like, I feel like this is what I'm being pushed towards, and I love it. It's that fear, but we know it's that thing that gets, and then they're like, oh, I did, that was so easy. That was nothing.
Right. Remember when I was afraid about that?
Yeah, it was nothing.
Yeah. Those calls though, those pulls, like part of you is like, I miss connecting to my angels. Like, what's that about? Like, explore that. Oh, I'm being pulled to do this new thing. Go for it, and I hope I can keep changing my career path, because that's okay. This is your life. Like, you're not the same person you were 5 years ago, last year. Who cares if you want to quit your job and start over? Like, do it.
And we can, and that's the amazing thing. There is an opportunity. Like, we can reinvent ourselves. We can do these things. And, I've talked about this many times, and, I've been redundant in other podcasts I had, where, COVID did allow people this new, what do I do? People started their own businesses. They said, I'm done with my job. I'm going to create this. I'm going to do that. And,
I love that.
Seriously, there's so many people that I know that are still doing it, and they're finding that stress, that relief, and, and like, they're happier. And I feel that's our goal in life. If we're given one life, one opportunity, how are we best going to use it? And I really do treat every day as a gift. That's the first thing I do when I wake up, is I just give thanks for this gift. And hopefully I use the day wisely. But it's a gift, and it's the greatest gift. So let me ask you a question before we wrap this up. What's on your playlist? What's
like music?
Playlist? Well, music, books, like what's keeping Christina going right now?
Okay, right now is probably books. Every Friday I go to the library and I stock up.
Love libraries.
Love libraries. And I get like a balance of things. I need my romance novels. Let's be real. I love them so much. And then I'll get like something to learn, right? And then I'll try something new, or like something that's popular right now. But I will say, for music, it's always, you can tell if I will like a song or not, because the only music I like makes you feel something. So it can be classical. It can be a depressing love song. I'm not Christian, but I love Christian rock, because you can feel the emotion. And I just love feeling. And not everyone likes feeling. I know we like to hide from our emotions. But I think I've learned to love it. That's, writing makes me feel. Music makes me feel. Books, I will bawl my eyes out. So things that make me feel are on my playlist right now.
Okay, that's good. I just like to find out from people, like, what are they into, because I think we're all eclectic, and I love books. To me, I tell people, walking into a bookstore or an art store is like porn to me. I just books. I have like maybe 10 new books down here, and I try to go in order, and I find, and again, and I'm reading. Right now I'm in a mode. I'm just going through autobiographies. I'm just obsessed. I'm just but I also have my eclectic esoteric books, and then I have some weird, and then I have like audiobooks that I listen to as well. So I love that. I always want to learn. I never want to stop learning. You know what I mean? And filling the brain, but also with positivity for the most part. But that's badass. Is there anything else that you want to say to the viewers? Any advice? Anything before we sign off?
I'm going to bring it back to something that you'd mentioned about having panic attacks on the plane. When you understood it or saw it, it was easier to handle it. So that's the same thing about yourself. Right. Never stop learning about yourself, because if you can see a trigger, you can heal it. Right. If you can see something that's unconscious, you have power over it, and you get your power back. So don't be afraid to look in the mirror. Don't be afraid to get to know yourself, the good, bad, the ugly, because that's where change happens, and that's where freedom happens. Because if you can see it, you can let it go.
I love it. Thank you. Christina, thank you so much. We're going to put all of your links and all your stuff on here. I'm so grateful that you were on here. You're amazing. Please continue to be awesome. And I want to just, keep getting updates. And thank you very much for being part of the show.
Thank you so, so much. It was such a pleasure, and I had so much fun. It's so good to see you.
Until next time, I'm your host, Michael, and we'll see you on the next episode.